the normalization of Donald Trump, Bill Maher is now public enemy number one for the left. He did something horrific. Bill Maher did something horrifying. Bill Maher committed an unforgivable offense. Bill Maher was invited to the White House to visit Trump. And Bill Maher reported accurately how the visit went. And Bill Maher was actually surprised at what came about. Let me play a little bit of Maher's monologue from his Friday night show on, and I don't even know what it's called anymore. Is it HBO? Is it Max? Is it HBO Max? Is it Max HBO? When they change names like this, I don't know how to properly brand it. I think it's HBO. If somebody knows, you can call or text 800-655-MIKE, because I don't know what the heck to call this place. I think it's Max. I'm pretty sure they changed the name to Max. Whatever, it's on cable, you know the drill. Bill Maher has a very popular show that airs on Friday night. And the left typically loves this guy. Well, they don't love him anymore, not after he said this.
Just for starters, he laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. And I thank you for them. No. But, okay, example. In the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, you know the best thing about him? His hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, waiting for the button next to the Diet Coke button to get pushed and I go through the trap door. But no, he laughed, he got it. I said to him at one point, Mr. President, you know the dog, that's unusual in the White House. He said, well, a lot of the presidents, they had a dog for political reasons. I said, no, people love dogs, that's what that is. Oh yeah, okay, that's true. I'm telling you what happened. At one point, we were walking through his amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election, because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that. He didn't get mad. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy. Bob, Kid Rock, told me the night before, he said, if you want to get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to cut him off. He'll just go on. Not at all. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye, people who don't really listen because they just want to get to their next thing, people whose response to things you say just doesn't track, like, what? None of that with him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know, your mind is blown, so's mine.
Oh, you should have seen the fury from the Keith Olbermanns of the world. Oh my gosh, they've lost their marbles at Bill Maher. How dare you talk about the Nazi the way you did? You mean he's a nice guy? He's warm? Do you realize, and I want to ask you a very direct question. I want to throw my phone lines open, and I've missed you. It feels like a long week. Especially with the way my trip ended in Montgomery, Alabama, with the stranding. I'll tell you that story a little bit later in the hour. But I want to start with this. Something has changed. Something is different. Remember this year, this time during the first year of Trump's first administration, they were screeching about impeaching him. Have you noticed you don't even hear about impeachment? Do you realize that so much has happened in his first 90 or so days? He has caught them flat-footed or something, but it's different this time. They're giving him a level of respect, whether they like it or not, that didn't happen during his first term. When Bill Maher stands there and jeopardizes his entire career by saying what many of us have been saying for years, that this is a decent guy. He's not a monster. He's not Adolf Hitler. And he genuinely cares about America and wants to make it great again. When Bill Maher says that, you know the tide has turned. You're still going to have the wild-eyed crazies who are going to gripe and moan about everything he does. But things are different this time. And I really believe we ought to seize that moment. We ought to recognize it, we ought to acknowledge it, and we should at least remember that it could be things could be a lot worse. I want to see, as I open up our phone lines here in the Relief Factor studios at 800-655-MIKE, and I hope you'll call or text, however you get here, please join me. Do you recognize the change that America is experiencing? Trump is getting a degree of support and a measure of respect that he never got during the entire first term of his presidency. It's different this time, way different. And I want to make sure that we acknowledge it. Now, do you agree with my take or not? Let's find out. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Come on, flood the zone. I want your phone calls front and center. Again, because it's been too long. It's been a long week. Thanks to Joey Hudson for doing another magnificent job of guest hosting. But we're back in the saddle again for a Monday. Join us, 800-655-MIKE. Love seeing the texts pour in on the MyPillow text line. Hope you make it a MyPillow Monday, incidentally. Great prices on pillows, slippers, bed sheets, and more. I didn't have my sheets with me, and I hated it. I felt like I was sleeping, even if it was a nice hotel, sandpaper. Sandpaper, I tell you. Here's Wisconsin. Ralph, I honestly think, Mike, it has more to do with Donald J. Trump keeping the Democrats off balance. He's doing so much, they can't focus on anything. Also, everything Trump is doing is insanely supported by the public. He's right. Florida, you can definitely notice a difference, Mike. It should be acknowledged and noticed all around to show that the far left idiots just want suppression. But finally, a point that we must make, because it's not all kumbaya. Don't let your guard down. Texas writes, I agree with your take. Something is different this time around. However, if we don't continue to fight for our country, and if we get complacent, the Democrats will, when they get back in charge, everything can be reversed. It's a good point. Don't forget, as you listen to us on your favorite radio station, to watch the show as well, because Salem News Channel is now seen on Pluto TV, Samsung Plus TV, and everywhere streaming TV can be found. Here's Ray in Garrison, New York. Or excuse me, Roy. Roy, do you think something's different this time around with Trump?
I don't know if it's necessarily different. I just think it's more of what you just said, the fact that the Democrats are not in power. It's kind of been tamed a little bit. And I think once they do gain control of either the Senate or the House again, I think it'll be the same old. They will try to be on top of Trump like they were in his first term.
What do you make of Bill Maher's willingness to tell his audience that Trump is essentially a great guy in person? What did you make of that?
So I actually watched that, and I was a bit surprised to hear that coming out of Bill Maher's mouth. And I just thought he was being honest. You know, I think I don't want to say there's two Trumps, but there's a public persona Trump, and then there's a private Trump, and he witnessed the private Trump, and it was counter to everything that, the narrative that they put out there about
That's
the
right.
man.
And I've shared that over the years when in the meetings that I've had with President Trump, and I've probably been one-on-one with him, I don't know, half a dozen times, maybe 7 or 8 times. He is so likable and so friendly and funny and warm. And if his critics could see him in that setting, which is I think what Bill Maher was saying a little bit, if the people who hate him could see him in the light that I saw him, there wouldn't be such vitriol, perhaps. There wouldn't be such rage. There wouldn't be such craziness. But let's face it. Here's the inherent truth to what Bill Maher reported. Forget what I said. I'm on board with Trump. I voted for him 3 times. What Maher is saying is the private Trump is the real Trump. When you're in front of the cameras and the microphones and you're at the podium, it's performative. You got a public persona. And it's fascinating to me how people can be different in person from what they are on the air. Rush Limbaugh is a great example. I had the privilege of working down the hall from Rush for a few years in New York City. Rush was not a bombastic person. Rush was not an over-the-top guy filled with bravado. Rush was quiet and shy and reserved and kind of self-deprecating and hard on himself. There was a very big difference. Now, some broadcasters are like that. I'm not somebody prone to a lot of confrontation, despite what I do for a living, but I'm pretty much what you see and hear is what you get. But it is true with Trump. In person, he does come across quite differently. Mark's in Winter Park, Florida. Hey, Mark, welcome aboard. Happy Monday.
Hey, happy Monday.
Thanks.
I just to kind of say, answer what you were saying about the opinion. I think the big difference is it's shocking that that's news, that someone that believes a little different than Trump thinks that he's a good guy, and that's shocking news. It's sad that we've gotten to that point.
I know.
But I think it's funny that Bill Maher is starting to sound more of a middle of the road conservative when he's talking about it, because that's what we've been doing for years. Is I may not agree with Biden, but I can still say, hey, I want him to succeed and be the best for our country. And that's what the Democrats just can't obtain. They don't want to do that. They don't want to say, hey, we want Trump to do a good job. May not like the guy, but still want him to do a job because his success is all of our success. And again, it's just sad that it's taken someone like Bill Maher, who's super liberal, to turn that tide.
And make no mistake, he's not going to join the Trump fan club anytime soon. He's not. He's not a fan of Donald Trump. But what's going to happen is normal people, even left of center or even progressives, are going to say, "Wait a minute, maybe Trump isn't such a bad guy. Maybe we ought to give him a shot. Maybe we ought to look at some of these policies. Maybe they're not so bad." All right, I got to tell you about the airline experience because it made national news. I promise I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I do want to bring you up to date on it next.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.